Hey, Adam and Kyle here, back with another video about the SBA burning questions that startups and acquisitions and expansions are always asking us. And so today we are going to ask Adam another question. Adam is the founder of ProjectionHub and a former executive director of an SBA lender. So he knows everything there is to know about SBA loans and will never prove you wrong. He wakes up and reads the SOP over his Wheaties every single morning. All right, so the question today is, what can let's focus on startup SBA applicant. I mean, I guess there might be a different version to this question for non-startups, but that's kind of primarily the setup here. What can a startup SBA applicant count towards their required owner investment percentage? So I guess a little bit of context is if like you're applying for an SBA loan, particularly for startups, and you need $100,000, you can't ask, like you need a total of $100,000 for your project or to get things started. You can't, they're not going to let you borrow the $100,000. Like there's a percentage of that they're going to ask you to invest into the project too. So there's a required portion of that, just as a quick bit of context before Adam gives us the sauce here.
Yeah, so the bare minimum equity investment is going to be 10% kind of down payment or equity investment. And so a lot of times what happens is clients have already started spending some money when they are applying for the SBA loan. Like maybe they've already put down a deposit on a lease, or I don't know, they got the website set up and hired some professional services or whatever. They've spent some money already. And so often there's a question of, can I use that as my down payment, or am I going to have to put in another 10%, at closing? And so the answer is you can use your past expenses, but you've got to keep close track of them. So you're going to need to have receipts to document that. So it's probably going to be like decent size receipts. Like if, you said, well, I went to Walmart, I bought $34 of supplies. Like you're not even if you could technically count that, the lender doesn't want to mess with that. They're not going to, because they have to document it. So should be decent sized transactions, and you can count that. I'll give a caveat here that I see fairly often is businesses that have been doing something as a side hustle for a while. So maybe a couple of years doing something as a side hustle, and they say, okay, now I want to take this to the next level. I want to kind of make this official. And they want to know, can I use all of this money I've spent over the last couple of years as my equity down payment? This is kind of a slippery slope, where it's kind of when you mention that, if you mention, oh, I've been doing this for a couple of years, what ends up happening is the lender says, oh, okay, so this is not a startup, it's really an existing business. And they'll say, well, send me your financial statements for what you did over the last couple of years. And then what I often see is clients say, oh, well, I haven't been tracking any of that, then it's like, oh, okay, so you're telling me, maybe you haven't paid your taxes for any income you made on that. So I think, what you probably just need to be careful about is, if you're saying that you've already been doing this operating this business in the past, and you want to try to use that as your equity injection, then the lender's going to ask for your past historical financial statements. So if you don't want to talk about that, then just expect you're going to need to put in a new down payment, for this new startup. So
right, how's that saying go? You can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, you want the benefit of including it towards your investment, so you can save a little bit of money, but you got to be willing to show the paper trail there. And that, like, to steelman the side hustle, like SBA lenders, anyone involved in this space, like, we love side hustles. Like, we love people who are like going out there and doing it and finding a way to like do it in some fashion on their own before they scale. If you want to call it a scale up or like legitimize it, those have always been some of my favorite projects to work on, both when I was doing SBA lending and also now, like when we're working on the business plans or projections or kind of helping somebody through that path. Anybody that has that kind of thing, like, oh, I've already been doing this on the side. I've been cutting hair for 10 years and now I want to start my own salon, or I've been, catering events with my smoker for a couple of years and now I want to do it for real at fairs and stuff like that. Like, I love those kinds of business models because it really gives the pitch like a lot of believability. Because I think a lot of times, especially like putting yourself in the lender seat, when you're looking at a startup applicant, like there is this intangible quality of like how, like, are they actually going to do it? Like, are they serious about it? Like, are they willing to pledge the thing or find the customers? Or like, I know you can cook the meat, but like, are you willing to go out there and pound the pavement and like actually get customers? Like, there's that thing in your gut of like, do you actually, are you going to make a go of this? Like, even if I can give you the money or not, based on all the other qualities. So when you can skip that because like, oh, you're already doing it. Like you were doing it on a shoestring budget, out of the back of your van. And you did it for 70 different parties for your friends or whatever. Like it can really help quell that fear of like the commitment question. And then you can kind of just focus on the actual more like tangible details of the deal. So we love side hustles. We love those types of businesses. We're not dunking on those, but when it comes to this kind of technicality of like when you decide you want to legitimize things, but you want to get credit for all the money you've already spent, you kind of already need to, be tracking that in order for that to be relevant.
Yeah.
Did you mention about the post loan liquidity portion of that?
They're going to want you to put in that 10% down payment, right? But they also want you to have some what they call post closing liquidity. So that just means your last dollar wasn't going towards the down payment. I usually say rule of thumb, you need at least 20%. So really think about, I need 20% cash of the total project cost. So 10% is going in as the down payment, 10% is like my rainy day fund or my post closing liquidity. So I'd have that, just have that expectation when you're thinking about how big of a project you can take on or how much you might be able to borrow. Don't just take your whatever you see in the bank account and assume you're putting all of that in as the down payment, because the lender's not going to want you to do that.
And there you have it. Another mystery of the SBA universe solved by Adam Hoeksema here at ProjectionHub. If you have any questions, if you're kind of going through this process, consider starting a business, you're going to need funding or financing, and you've heard about or thought about SBA loans. Obviously, there's a lot of questions and people just, can be an overwhelming process. Feel free to send us your questions. You can comment down below the video. You can email us at support@projectionhub.com, but you can also fill out our free SBA review form that we offer. You can share a little bit more about your situation, your business, and we will give you some tailored free advice on, your approval odds and some red flags or recommendations. So you can check that out in the description below or at our website, and we will catch you on the next video. Thanks.